Theresa, oh my God, it's so good to see you. I've been dying for this conversation for the last few weeks, so it's really good that we're finally getting the opportunity to connect.
I'm excited too, Erica, and who better to be on this to have this discussion with than you? So let's do it.
Let's do it. The feeling is mutual. I think women in tech is such a relevant topic, and it has been for the last 5 years. And obviously, I'm talking to a phenomenal woman in tech who's done so much in technology. So let's just start off by just giving our audience just some background of like who you are, how you got here. Give us the scoop, Teresa.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Erica. I am Theresa Harrison, and I am the founder and owner of George Street Services. How I got here. I got to a point when I was working with technology companies that I could no longer not start my own company. And why is that? We are naturally logical thinkers, we are strategists, and this is who we are, and we could be successful at this. So I started my first company over 25 years ago, Erica. I can't believe where the years have gone. But, the exciting thing is that I've seen more and more of us in tech. So I
That's right.
own a company providing services and primarily in the Department of Defense industry.
That's just amazing, Teresa. And I think, the mission driven message behind that, I think will take you and other women 10x further than anything else, right? Because there's so much purpose behind it. I sit with a group called Latinas in Cyber, and they're really all about getting Latinas into those cyber roles. We will start opening eyes to other women
And
to
that is
go for the
so
goal.
true, so, so true, which is why it's important that we share that there are a number of successfully owned tech companies that are owned and led by women. Let's look at the facts though. We struggle. And let me tell you why we struggle. It has nothing to do with technology and our capabilities. It
Hmm.
really has a lot to do with the fact that we have smaller networks. So, with that smaller network, there is less of us being seen. That, however, we also struggle mainly because women founded companies receive less than 2% of capital funding. We all know you have to have capital to start a business, to sustain it, and to grow it.
That's
Although
right.
there is more growing support for it, it's still a struggle. So I'm so glad to hear that you are saying and you are representing, as you do very well, the Latina community, the African American community, and just women in general, because we have to be seen and show why women lead tech and why women in tech matters. It's because we do deliver with excellence.
That's right. That's right. So, Teresa, let me ask you this. You started your company, 20 plus years ago.
Yes,
I don't even want to age you,
I
right? But you
know.
started your company 20 plus years ago. And, I'm thinking there wasn't the resources that we have now and the exposure that we have now, right? We have a long way to go, but we've really come so far. Can you tell me two or three things that you had to overcome in that journey in tech?
You know, in tech, you get lonely. You get lonely because you don't see a lot of women. I also think that's why women get out of the tech field even before they get to their professional career because they feel ostracized being the only one or left out. So it's the same thing in business. The pros is that it's a great career, it's great opportunity. The con is that you feel like you're on an island by yourself a lot. However, what we have to do is continue to encourage other women to start their companies. So, one of the common challenges that I used to run into is going into a meeting and have to share all of my credentials because everyone is trying to figure out why are you here or how did you get here. But
Right.
I witnessed my counterpart not having to say anything about himself.
Mm,
But I have to start from what college I went to, what did I major in, what systems I worked on. The good thing about it is I didn't mind doing it because women in tech have checked all the boxes plus.
yeah.
But that is a common situation that you run into as business owners and as professionals.
Teresa, you nailed it. But I think the glory in that story is the fact that you showed the credentials and you kept showing your credentials, right? And you kept moving the needle. And I think as women, that's where the power is, right? Because we're gonna miss 100% of the shots that we don't take,
So
right? But
true.
if we have the vision, right, and we know where we're going, Darren Hardy said direction is more important than speed. And
Absolutely.
it just sounds like, I know you personally, but it sounds like you had a clear vision about where you wanted to go. And the clearer you are about where you want to go, the faster you get there. So it's just,
Absolutely. And Erica, the other thing is over time, you pause and reflect and realize that sometimes you need to go back to step one and make exit as a part of your planning from day one. And I say that because from experience, I've learned that. I've started a company, I've sold a company, I now have another company. The difference here is that I have an exit strategy already in place because that's what guides decisions on growth, funding, and governance of the
100%.
company. And you know how important it is to have an exit strategy.
Teresa, again, you nailed it, right? I think succession planning is something that we don't talk about enough, right? And we always think that we're building and we're building and we're building to maybe pass on the baton to someone in the family,
Hmm.
right? Because everyone has, legacy in mind. But a lot of the times, if you build and in preparation to exit, even if there is a baton that's going to be passed in the family, you're giving your children or your family members a more structured enterprise because you always had exit in mind. So that's a key point. I work in that field day to day. I work with buyers and sellers and people looking to prepare to get their companies ready for a third party exit, whether it's private equity or you're a new operator. But exit is something that you definitely have in mind, and you can clearly see it in the way that you present your company. So I know you had one successful exit. That was a few years back. Can you tell me a little bit about what that preparation looked like and what you would tell other women when they're thinking about a potential exit?
I'm talking to with the right person because I have so many colleagues who are looking to exit or want to plan for their exit. So I can always say you need to contact Erica. So that's a definite. But
That's it.
my recommendation is don't wait until you're desperate and you have to exit. You want to sell when you're strong. So the process for me was that we were contacted by a number of brokers and companies interested in buying us. And I found it to be an arduous process. One, it was new to me. Lesson learned, bring in the professional next time. Two, having to still run the company and understand the process. Make sure you have valuation done in advance because you can undersell your company if you don't know the real value of the company. And I'm not talking about self valuation.
Right.
Have a valuation done.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing is because I now know that should I exit, I know where I want to be. I have goals and growth strategies in place now. But my biggest key here is to meet with the professional in advance. You can do it 2 years in advance. You don't have to wait until 30 days and you've made the decision. It's never too early. Meet in advance because you will learn so much and how to better prepare your company for the exit that you really want.
Teresa, that's I wish I can put that on a commercial, right? And just play that over and over again because the longer you prepare, the more options you have out there, right? You can actually shop it yourself versus, my hair's on fire. And what we see with kind of women coming into the acquisition side, right? Because there's a whole sea of women that, are right behind you in this, right? They want to be in tech, they want to be in cyber, they want to be, in that technology space. It's a very sexy space to be in, right? And what we're seeing is they're actually more prepared as well. So if you're looking to possibly scale, right, you don't have to do it all yourself. I want to just add that there. You can also scale through an acquisition rather than, get a bigger account and get another account and get another account, right? So we're seeing men do this every single day, and I think it's something that's not talked about enough in women held companies. It's, buy up some of the smaller guys too,
Yep.
right?
Yep, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that we are normally very prepared because we go through the process of bootstrapping our companies, being turned down by potential investors repeatedly, not getting the capital that we want, but still growing the company. But we just need to marry that with everything that you just said to help us get prepared. Um, and I wish, Erica, that we had women that we actually see and have access to, like you, when I sold my company over 15 years ago, because that makes a big difference. There are so many of us in tech and others that are starting in the field that we should be in and we should be welcome to and growing, but still not and I want to say that repeatedly, having access to capital to help us prepare to give us that launch for acquisition. What I'd like to ask you, Erica, is giving the view that you had for companies in tech, women in tech who are growing the company with plans to exit. Um, First, can you recommend other ways to grow your company other than organic growth
Yeah,
to help
for
exit?
sure, Teresa. I think that, us as women, a lot of the times we're afraid to ask for help, right? We're afraid to ask for help. We're afraid to ask for mentorship. We think we can do it all ourselves and we internalize a lot of the things. So, we can certainly grow through an acquisition by, buying up some of the smaller guys, even jointly, a JV with a competitor, right? And not being afraid to say, look, I think we can add value to each other, and having those like ugly conversations can take us really, really far. So, organic growth is certainly, nice and rewarding because you're doing it all yourself. But I think we're so afraid to ask for help, right? Or ask for resources. Or, I know we had lunch recently with someone who sold for over 200 million. If you ask for maybe some mentorship or some guidance there, right? Because you want to go, you want to grow or you want to scale, that's something that's really readily available to us. But I think we have this corporate blanket and we don't believe that, that person on the other end may or may not want to be a paid mentor, right? Or, what if they know someone that can actually add a nice bolt on to your existing business, right? So those are some of the things that we should be concerned about and having conversations around. I think you nailed it. You said having a good advisory group around you, whether it's mentorship, whether it's brokers that are on your side, right? Because if you have a transactional broker that's kind of, working both sides of the fence, you never really know, whose side of the coin they're looking to be on, right? So just having like your own advisors and your own deal team and everybody sharing the same mission,
Hmm.
I think that's super critical. So I
You
know
know,
we're up on time. We're right
Absolutely.
here. We
I
can do
love
this all
talking to
day.
you because I always learn
You
so
too.
much. And,
You too.
referencing our lunch the other day with the phenomenal ladies and the person who sold her company for over 200 million. Like you said, you have to ask for help. I've already reached out to her. Of course I have. I've already reached
That's
out
it.
to her.
That's it.
That's how you
I
have to
love it.
do it. And,
I love it.
we have to build a network. And Erica, you are so good at that. You are just a natural, and I'm still learning from you because I see
It's
that you
mutual.
have the network and you're
It's
constantly
mutual.
building.
I appreciate you, Theresa. You're a builder. You're really a trailblazer to us all because you've been knocking on doors we didn't think about knocking when you were already at the door. So thank you for everything that you've done for women, minorities, tech, everything. Like you are all things to so many people, and I'm just honored to have this time with you. Thank you so much, WBC, for including us in this. We can do this all day long.
Yes, yes. And I have to also say thanks to Erica because Erica, you are such a resource that we all use and we really appreciate you. Thanks so
Appreciate you
much,
too.
everyone.
Thank you.